Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seat belts.
Welcome to People Who Build, the podcast for people who choose to change their lives. Episode number 8, Living Well in Corporate Life After 35, featuring Muscle with Marco.
Welcome back to the channel for this episode number 8 of People Who Build. I'm here with Muscle with Marco, the owner of the most famous Instagram pages that share with me and with you about to eat well, train well, to have a corporate life, or of course to have a good feeling with the body and stay with a lot of energy. That's correct?
Sure.
You, at the moment, like me, you are in a corporate job, 9 to 6 every day, you know, and you train as well. You try to keep the best shape possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is where it was born. I was working corporate myself, working long, intensive, stressful hours. And that was actually where I felt the need most of all for fitness, for health, for well-being, not just for the physical appearance, let's say, as you speak of, but to have more energy, to be able to actually perform well under these stressful conditions. And so that's where it actually started out for me.
Okay. You started out from a great passion, the passion for the fitness, for the sport. Have you started with just the fitness, or you started with some discipline like martial arts or football or something else?
So I've been everywhere. I've been in all these sorts of different categories. I mean, growing up, I loved football. I was always a sports guy. So playing a lot of different sports in school, playing at pretty high international levels at a young age, let's say, playing for international schools, and traveling with sports and competing in mostly in football. But then later I was also doing some martial arts, and for me, fitness now is more of a trait of discipline as opposed to some sports, let's say, that I just enjoy because I enjoy the sport. I do enjoy bodybuilding. I do enjoy weightlifting.
Yeah.
It's nice to test your limits. It's nice to push yourself, and it's nice to have that discipline, to have that self-mastery, that self-efficacy. Okay. And that's really something that I enjoy in my fitness journey at the moment. It's not just that it's so fun to be in the fitness room, in the weight room, but after you've done your workout, immediately afterwards you feel amazing. You feel that sense of you've done something that you've set your mind to do, and that feeling of accomplishment is more, and that feeling of control over your own life is more important to me than the actual, let's say, fun that's to be had in the weightlifting room.
Yeah. So, from your perspective, a lot of people at the moment, like us, are in a corporate life. And of course stressful life, you know. Do you think there is a difference between non-sport people that having a corporate life, stressful hours, and corporate people that are doing fitness daily with engagement, that do something that is well?
Absolutely. I think it's not fair. It's not remotely fair, because the people that are doing fitness, that are taking their nutrition to the next level, and that are health conscious, have an unfair advantage over those that are not benefiting from the relieved stress, from the mental clarity, from the blood flow, the circulation, the oxygen that's being distributed better into your body and brain, and that focus that they're able to maintain due to the increased energy and stress release at the gym. And so every day that you come to work to a stressful environment, you are starting from zero because you've let go of that stress either the day before or in the morning when you went to the gym. and those other people had to bear that weight, to bear that stress on their shoulders, on their heads throughout the night and into the morning when they come into the office.
Okay, so you saw a really big difference between a life without and a life with. Also, you told me the way of eating. Let's make a difference, no?
Nutrition makes a massive difference. And for myself personally, I knew I had to tailor my nutrition to fit my lifestyle when I started my business, when I started Muscles with Marco at the same time and Reawaken Fitness at the same time as I was working a corporate job. I knew that the only way that I could carry out those two activities while still going to the gym was by fixing my nutrition in order to be able to excel in terms of energy, in terms of focus, and the only way that I could really get that was to cut out a lot of the crap that I was eating and really eating effectively and like maximizing the machine that is your body.
Well, when you say crap, what do you mean? Junk food?
Junk food, sure, and just eating sometimes incorrect macros. So if you're overeating fats or carbs, you might be creating some unnecessary brain fog, which is not going to help stimulate you in the gym, but will take away some of that energy from you because you're digesting unnecessary food. It could also be junk food. I've been a victim of dirty bulks in the past while trying to gain some muscle, doing it in a dirty bulk way as opposed to a more clean way of putting on muscle mass, and that was one of the big mistakes that I've made in my personal fitness journey, and I know a lot of people have also made that mistake of doing dirty bulks. There are advantages, and of course I'm not saying that everything needs to be clean and perfect as you are bulking, but when you really start to dial in your life, you'll notice how much energy is leaking away from you by eating even the occasional fast food or these kinds of fat heavy, carb heavy foods.
Also there is let's say a decreasing of testosterone for the males during the 30s. Start the beginning of the 30s. Reduction in production of testosterone, and it can be stopped. This thing with a good fitness habits, with a good eating, with a good wellness life, or not?
Absolutely. So part of the reason why nowadays people are actually beginning to lose their testosterone, as you said, in their early 30s, which is earlier than ever, is because of the sedentary, unhealthy life that is now being people are being more accustomed to. So in fact, if you were to change the variables completely and you took an individual with a very good nutrition and training and took care of their sleep and their health, you would see that their testosterone would only start declining much later, potentially their mid-30s and beyond, and their rate of decline would be much slower than an unhealthy individual.
For example, let's speak about me. I'm 34. What I should do to let's say have a good quality of life, having a corporate job at the same time.
So that's exactly right what you're saying about good quality of life, because the way that the World Health Organization used to define health was just the absence of disease. Okay. So of course everybody who is absent of disease would therefore by that definition be healthy, but they've now refined that definition because of course a lot of people criticized it for it not taking into consideration many factors and it being too vague. And so the new definition from the World Health Organization on living a healthy life and being healthy is actually a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. And so when you say well-being, and when considering your health, it's good to note that it's not only about being absent of disease, but actually to have the energy to be able to make those social interactions and have the confidence to be sociable. That's part of being healthy, and that's what the fitness and the gym gives you, besides everything else in terms of your physical and mental advantages, is also the ability to have the confidence to be able to go out and socialize and meet potentially people that you would be romantically interested in, or just to have more friends and have more socialness. And coming back to you, so you're obviously a perfect, let's say, target of who I normally work with and of who I help.
With your page, giving advice. And,
absolutely, on the Instagram page, I'm giving advice to people exactly like you, so men over 35, men around, in their 30s, and trying to help them primarily to lose weight, as that's the more common difficulty that men over 30 are having today. And looking at your case specifically, of course, your nutrition and your training, your nutrition and your exercise, those are foundational parts of your health, but the one that a lot of people are overlooking is their sleep as well.
Sleep,
Now, those three do go interchangeably. So we talk about your nutrition, we talk about hydration as well. That's
hydration, drink water, essentially.
Well, it's drink water, but it's also getting the correct salts and minerals and nutrients in order for your body to be able to absorb that water well and to drink the water of high quality. So water quality is also a big issue. Of course, there's much worse water quality in more emerging or third world countries. We don't have those kinds of issues, and that was actually the reason for having such a high mortality rate or a lower life expectancy.
Okay.
And the low life expectancy that we see in certain countries in Africa today still, where life expectancy may be 45 for a man and 50 for a woman, as opposed to in Western countries where we have a life expectancy of maybe somewhere closer to 80 even. It's due to the cleanliness of the water and the disease that spreads because of that. And so but those topics aside, even in our Western society, we have a very different water quality in terms of tap water, in terms of different water bottle brands.
Okay.
And so to actually filter your water and then to hydrate properly with sodium, magnesium and potassium, in order for those are the electrolytes that'll allow your body to actually absorb that water and not for it to just go straight through, and it'll actually hydrate you much better.
So a good quality water, the first thing.
Good quality water and the minerals, the salts that I just mentioned.
Okay, that's was absolutely. And also you told me the sleep, the quality of sleep, no?
Absolutely, and this is where fitness is really a complex puzzle where you need to put everything together, because of course if you do have a rigorous exercise or you have some sort of physical activity in your day-to-day life, it'll improve your sleep quality. And with sleep, it's not just about the number of hours of sleep, which is also very important, but also the quality of sleep.
Quality, of course.
And so a lot of people are maybe sleeping with their curtains open, or the room is not completely dark, and they don't realize the impact that it's actually having on them and on their sleep quality. But that's a big one. There's obviously a lot of other ways to optimize it. I don't want to go too far into detail, also because sometimes it might not be as helpful for someone if they're just listening to it on a podcast, as opposed to if they're actively seeking for these kinds of information that can really push elevate your health.
And also the quality of food as well make a difference.
Absolutely. Your nutrition is very important. So what types of food are you eating? Are you eating whole foods, for example? Are you eating a lot of fresh foods? Are you eating a lot of vegetables? Vegetables, fruits, fibrous-rich foods, so complex carbohydrates. Are you eating enough of those? Are you eating enough protein? Protein is key. So fiber and protein often. And of course, it'll depend on the goal of each individual, but for everybody, it's good to have enough fiber, it's good to have enough protein. These are essential for your body to function properly.
Also, when do you start? When do you realize you wanted to share your experience with somebody else? Starting a page, starting your own venture.
Absolutely. So I could see that a lot of people around me in the office could have absolutely benefit from the health, and it's something that a lot of people are negating, unfortunately. I feel that there's not enough out there. It's almost socially weird to be interested into your health, and I think there's a lot of reasons why, but we often have the fat doctor, and it's kind of funny how the doctor is smoking, the doctor is fat, and why is that? And a lot of that comes down to the fact that in medical school they're learning a lot about prevention, and they're not learning a lot about prevention. They're learning a lot about what to do once there is a disease already there, and so how to cure that disease with a lot of pharmaceutical drugs, especially because of the pharmaceutical industry. They're pumping a lot of that kind of knowledge and information into the literature, and what to do once somebody is sick and how to cure them, right? So a lot of what doctors and the medical school are teaching is about how to cure disease, but not how to prevent it. And so there's very, very little on physical exercise actually when a doctor is doing their doctor studies. And this is more and more prevalent to today now that we do have these longer life expectancies. It's the fact that we do live longer means that we will need to be preventing ourselves from getting certain diseases through exercise, through nutrition, through sleeping well, because the fact that we live longer also means that we'll live long enough to develop some kind of disease if we don't take care of ourselves better than what we used to.
So this has been your drive for this page, this experience, the knowledge you're starting to share.
I think it's important for somebody to come and take the responsibility to wake people up a little bit, because a lot of people are living lives where, of course, it's important to make money, to work, and a lot of people end up in these stressful environments where then their priorities have shifted now that they're working from being a student to now being a working professional, to putting that above everything, and I do understand its importance, but nothing is more important than your health, and if you are in good health, it'll actually help you to become better, to live longer, of course, to live more healthily, to live a more well-being life, but also to help you perform, to help you be more focused, to help you be more calm, to help you be more resilient, to help you be more stress-free in the working culture. And it's something that I just see it as being brushed off as unimportant, and it's only a matter of time before it becomes a priority, and it's better that you make it a priority before you have to make it a priority.
Okay, so that's your main drive essentially. But for example, at least how many times a professional should work out per week?
So it depends on the type of training. So the two most important things for your health in terms of exercise are your strength and your VO2 max.
Okay.
So your strength being your muscular strength, because one of the most important ways that elderly people get hurt, or people above 30, 40 years old get hurt, is by falling over, is by picking something up that's too heavy, is by having some kind of injury in their muscles or in their bones, or even worse, just because of not having that physical strength. It's also something that, especially core strength, is very important, even if you are living a sedentary life, to not develop any chronic back pain or otherwise joint by this posture that we all sit in. And a lot of that comes from lack of development of the back muscles or the core muscles, and not actually being able to sit right, but also to just live day-to-day activities. You know, you're going to be carrying groceries, you're going to be carrying your kids, you're going to be carrying and moving objects around, and it's very easy to get hurt, especially if you don't have the proper strength in place. The other one is the VO2 max, and that's your your oxygen capacity. So when you breathe in and breathe out, how much oxygen are you actually transporting?
You can keep.
And that's another. That's the second most. Well, that's actually the first most important health indicator. And these are the good thing about both of these is that you can train them both. And the optimal, let's say, there's a big difference. There's a huge difference between not doing anything, being inactive, and doing 3 times per week. 3 times per week can be 30 minutes to 30-minute sessions. Mm-hmm. And of course, walking around steps are great ways, easy ways to get a lot of the points that are going to be reducing all-cause mortality, as well as any type of heart disease, cancers, diabetes, type 2.
Okay.
And so then there's almost always an improvement in all-cause mortality and in developing cardiovascular diseases and different types of cancers and diabetes type 2 through doing more and more exercise. But the difference is really huge between doing nothing and doing 3 times per week. And of course, you can, it'll depend normally on how much time the person has available to them, how you structure and prioritize your sessions, but any form of strength training or VO2 max training will absolutely benefit you.
Do you think cardio is important as well, or not on the working out routine?
Absolutely. So cardio will fall in with the VO2 max work. So when you're training your cardiovascular system, you're also training your VO2 max. They're almost interchangeable word for word. And there's a lot of different ways that you can train cardio. You don't have to go for runs. In fact, unless the person really likes to run and it's something that they're really passionate about, I would actually stay away from it just because of all the damage that it does to your knee joints.
Okay, the knee joints.
But any other form of cardio, whether it be cycling, swimming, I mean, running is also a great way to get your VO2 max. You just need to consider the downside of it potentially destroying your knees. So if you're just getting started and you want to choose a form of cardio, then I would say it's a good time to stay away from running and do something more like swimming or running on a bicycle or the rowing machine. There's so many ways that you can train your cardio through skiing, cross country skiing, going on hikes, or and doing a lot of these classes like body attack or potentially body pump or some other types of dance classes as well. Very good for cardio. So there's so many different ways, even skateboarding. I mean, whatever it is that you enjoy to do, because the most important really is that you get it done. And so as long as it's something that you know that you're going to be able to get done, that's going to fit into your schedule, that's easy enough, that you actually enjoy enough, then that's fine.
How do you started about this page? You started to document yourself for you, and then you decided to share your knowledge.
Yeah, so I'm sharing my knowledge on this page. It's a great way just to get in contact with me as well for people that want to know more about how we work and how we can help. But of course, there's a lot of knowledge on the page to be learned, and a lot of content that I enjoy to give out there to get people more involved. As I said, the biggest problem really is this lack of awareness, or it just being brushed off as something not important. And so I'd love to just see more people taking it seriously and integrating fitness as part of their life.
What do you think professionals like us neglecting about themselves and don't take care of their body?
Why they're doing it? So there's a lot of different reasons actually, but a big one is the way that we are building our cities actually. Yeah. So this is something that's very overlooked, and it's that, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day, but also your health is not destroyed in a day. It's small things that add up, and the fact that now we're closing local schools, we're closing local shops. I mean, Here we need to go to the big supermarket, you know, to the big mall, to go to a big supermarket. And how do you get there? Well, normally you'll take your car, right? And whereas before we used to have these mom and pop shops where you could walk to get your groceries, and you could walk to school, and you walk your kids to school, and your kids walk to school.
Once you were forced to move.
And now we're forced to move to these big shopping centers, to these big schools, to these big, and how do we get there? Well, we have to commute either through a tram, a bus, a train, or taking your car.
Yeah.
And what this means is that we live more and more sedentary lives, because even if you're not in the car, you're being seated and you're not getting those steps in. And this is what I mean by Rome wasn't built in a day and your body's not destroyed in a day neither, is because you're just racking up more and more bad habits of taking the car instead of walking. If you would walk every morning to get your groceries, if you would walk every morning to work, if you would walk every morning to school, or take a bicycle, or, you know, get there with a skateboard or some kind of active way, then you would already have fitness, or let's say you would already have activity in your life, and that's then going to push you to get more and more activity. But the more you become sedentary, then the more you are sedentary, the more you become sedentary, and the more you are active, the more you become active. And so even moving your body just a little bit is so much more powerful than being in a car, just because of the compounding effect and the momentum that it brings you, because your body's already getting used to the fact that it's active. And it wants more of that because it knows that it's good for it. But if your body's constantly sedentary because of the way that we have our infrastructure built, then it's going to want more of that because of the comfort that comes with it, and because of the almost fear of exercise. Because I see that people in the office that don't want to do exercise, they're almost afraid of it. They're almost afraid of going to the gym. They're almost afraid of walking. They're afraid, and sometimes rightfully so, because their heart rate they're more at risk of a heart attack. And so they can't even fathom, they're literally scared of walking uphill because they might have a heart attack on the way to work. Yeah, okay. But that didn't happen overnight.
That's interesting. That's an interesting fact. Do you think also the fitness helps to slowing the aging factors?
100%. And so what we have is actually our age, but then we also have our biological age. And on your DNA, you have some strands. And those strands are actually they're very closely, so when they finish, you're dead essentially, right? And through exercise and through strength training, you can actually lengthen or maintain the length of those strands that are on your DNA, that are on everyone's DNA. And so that's how normally people are measuring biological age. And so the more you exercise, I think it's assumed that every hour of exercise gives you back 3 hours of time in your life. And in fact, if you are comparing someone who's inactive to someone who is doing 3 times per week, half an hour of exercise, as I said, the example from before, it's more like 7 times.
Okay, that's interesting fact.
And what's not considering that statistic is also the quality of life.
The quality of life, of course.
Right.
But we are approaching the conclusion of this episode together. I would like you to share with our audience 3 main advices for them.
So in terms of improving your health and fitness, of course, as we've talked about a lot, it's sleep. Sleep is extremely important.
The first.
And then we have small wins, so getting in steps, choosing the healthier option, taking the stairs instead of taking the elevator, and just eating your vegetables, eating your fruits, eating those fiber-rich, protein-rich nutrients in your life, choosing the healthier option. Even if you are in an unhealthy place, there's always something that you can choose that's the healthier option. And getting that exercise in and making health a priority in your life, because that's really what it comes down to. Is it really a priority? And to those people that are watching your podcast that are probably much more ambitious and a little bit more of that mentality that maybe I had when I was coming up in fitness, if I was to tell myself something, it's that none of your excuses are real. I don't I don't really care what excuse it is. If there's a reason why you're not in the shape that you want to be, there's a reason why that is. And if I ask you why, and whatever it is that you tell me, it's not valid. There is no excuse. And forget all your excuses. I see there are no excuses.
There are no excuses to be lazy.
There are no excuses.
No excuse.
There's no excuses.
You can find it every time the time to work out. Every time.
There's a reason. Sometimes it's time. Sometimes it's something else. But whatever that reason is, it's
bullshit.
It's an excuse, and there are no excuses. There's no excuse.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Alessio.
Thank you a lot. Thank you for this great content, this great podcast. The people will find your links on the description of this video, so they can contact you, they can see your contents, and they maybe wake up their mind and change habits.
Thanks to you. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure to come on your podcast.
Thank you.
Subscribe to the channel for more content like this.